GGRC.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of GGRC. I'm RC, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I know normally, we talk about games 24/7 on this channel all the time. Once in a while during a stream we'll talk about something a little bit different, which is cool. But today I want to kind of go over something that isn't a game. It's actually a comic, a graphic novel. And, in my free time, big surprise, being a gamer and overall nerd and whatnot, I do read comics, I read graphic novels. Now, I would say over the past probably 8 years or so, I've really fallen off the wagon with comics. I haven't really kept up with a lot of the new stuff that's been coming out, and I just really fallen behind. But what I will say is during that time, it's still pretty evident that there's a lot of good stuff that's coming out, stuff that I missed even when I was still in on the comic stuff. There's stuff back then that I missed that was also good, and this is one of those. This came out about 10 years ago. I believe it started in 2008, and in 2009 this graphic novel actually was released, but it's called I Kill Giants. Now, I actually just read this recently, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. Now, I Kill Giants is a story by Joe Kelly and J.M. Ken Niimura, and they put together this cool story about a girl named Barbara, and she's sort of the weirdo at school, I guess, for lack of a better word. We were all there. I'm sure the majority of us all felt like weirdos and outcasts in school, and she is no different. But she goes, one step further with the eccentricity by telling people that she kills giants. Now, what she means by that, I'm not going to reveal here. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I feel like it's a book that you should read. But it's a book where you're not really sure whether these giants actually exist or whether she's making them up or what's going on. But you'll definitely be surprised by the end of the book of where it goes and what happens. But I will say that this book is also very touching. It's very family oriented. And I think by the end of the book, it might have you choking up just a little bit. Now, with Barbara being the outcast, she's got to deal with bullies. She's got to deal with the fact that she doesn't have any friends. Like I said, a lot of this, I'm sure a lot of us can relate to. I know I can for sure. It's not like I was cool in school at any point. However, this book, I think, really depicts what it was like, probably 15 years ago, 20 years ago, maybe, what it was like in school. And you might even relate to it today. I mean, everybody still has bullies. I know there's a lot of anti-bullying campaigns nowadays, which was something they didn't have 20 years ago when I was still in school. However, I'm sure kids are still dealing with this stuff, and I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to. Being a little bit weird, being a little bit of an eccentric, and not really fitting in at school. So Barbara deals with a lot of this stuff. She deals with a lot of things at home, which seems to be causing, what she, how she acts at school and that kind of thing. Again, won't reveal what that is. I think it's a big surprise and whatnot as to why that is. But she does get a new friend that shows up in town who seems to be the only girl who's willing to be her friend. So her and Barbara sort of go on these, interesting. They go into these interesting conversations together, where her new friend is asking her, "Well, why do you say these things? Why are you saying you need to kill giants and that kind of thing?" And Barbara sort of, kind of doesn't explain it, but she also sort of, kind of, holds back and doesn't release all of her information. She doesn't show all of her cards until later in the book. And it's just really interesting because it's one of those books that you get 3 issues in, or 3 chapters in, depending on which version of this you're reading, and you're really wondering, like, where is this going? What's going to happen? But it keeps you on the edge of your seat as to, like, I really want to know what's going on with Barbara here. So what I really like about this book, though, is that it teaches you something that you probably didn't think about in high school, because I know I didn't. When you were getting picked on, or you were picking on people in high school, and people were acting a bit weird, or kids were eccentric at school, what it really came down to for a lot of kids was their home life. What was going on with them at home, what kind of things they had to deal with at home. And this book kind of showcases one of those cases, one of those situations that, you probably knew a kid in school that was like this and was dealing with a similar situation at home. And, this was something that really hit me, because it was something that, like I said, I didn't realize until I was probably out of college, or in the middle of college or whatever, that it was just like, oh wow, these kids or whoever were acting this way because of that reason. You know, it was all because of, you know, their dad doing this or their mom doing that or whatever. So it's one of those things that definitely, I think, like I said, a lot of people, I think, can relate to this because of that. And I think it's a good lesson learned for anybody who might still be in school and looks at these kids in a weird way, and or maybe even a bully could read it and get something from it. You know, it's kind of interesting in that way. Now, the other thing I really like about this book too is the art style. Of course, when you're reading a graphic novel, you know, the story is nothing without a good art style, and vice versa. You know, you can have a beautiful book but a terrible story, and it's not going to be a great book. You could have a wonderful story and a terrible art style, and you're going to have a really hard time getting through it. But this book does a great job of leveraging the two. You have a very heartfelt story, but of course you have what I feel like is really, you know, I guess you could say it's heartfelt art. It's not art that is by any means colorful and beautiful and anything like that, but I feel like it's such a great, almost anime light approach to art, where the strokes and everything are purposeful, but you would say, I guess, sort of like it's not so perfected that it feels overproduced. You can tell that there are characters and you know, landscapes and stuff in this where you could tell that Nomura, when he was drawing it, he kind of like scribbled it. You know, he scribbled out this little character, this little landscape area, but it wasn't important at the time, because you could tell, you could look at it and go, oh, I can tell what it is. Actually, we're focusing on Barbara and the other character at this moment, and that's all that really needs to happen. It's like he took extra time on the thing that was, you know, up in your face and is important to look at, and the other stuff that's in the background, you know, it looks good, but it's not as produced, and I think it really fits this book really well. I really hope that doesn't come off as any kind of a, you know, sort of a slight or an insult on the art in the book, because it's not. I really like it. To further build on that, you can really tell when artists have a talent for that. You know, some artists, they can just do a quick woo, you know, and scribble on a page, and it looks beautiful compared to what other people would do. You know, there's a certain stroke and curve to people's drawing and motion when they draw that no matter what comes out at the end, you're just kind of like, wow, he did that in 5 minutes. It looks better than anything I would have spent an hour on. So yeah, guys, I Kill Giants, definitely recommended for me. I actually got this from my local library. I'm glad that I'm sort of getting back on track with reading some graphic novels and stuff, because I've read a few, you know, over the past 5 years or so, but not enough. I really got to get back into it, and I definitely recommend you guys check this one out if you're into comics, because it's, like I said, it's a very heartfelt story. I think it's very relatable for anybody who went through high school feeling like an outcast, and I love the art style as well. And it offers up something that's a little bit different than what you might expect. It might, like I said, by the end of it, it might have you, you know, choking up just a little bit. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to check out I Kill Giants, because I think it's really cool. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, because I think I'm going to be doing some more of these graphic novel reviews as the recommendations come up, because I'm probably going to be reading these a little bit more often now that, you know, the house is a bit more settled now that we're moved in and everything, and a lot of the chores have been done. And yeah, I'm just getting into graphic novels again, so I'm looking forward to checking more out, and I'll let you know about the other ones that I really like. So until next time, I'll see you then.